And just like that, we're back. Welcome back to the Bold Moves podcast. And I think very obviously we are ready for the Toxic podcast series drop.
Here we are. It's going to get really toxic around here. We just don't know what's going to happen next.
We're ready to dive in. Kristen, you better be ready. Are you vacuum sealed? Are you ready to go?
Yep.
I'm very hot. Can I just say, like, this is not comfortable?
It's too much. It's too much. Let's get this party started. Well, welcome back to the Bold Moves podcast. We are officially back, and honestly, because of a little toxicity that I still feel in the room, I didn't feel uncomfortable taking the whole hazmat suit off.
Who are you referencing? Just point fingers?
I'll keep you guys guessing. So, just better safe than sorry. I can zip this thing up in just a moment and still be okay.
Oh, just that quickly.
Yeah, I'm very
That's
very
the
fast.
toxic shield, apparently.
Apparently. These hazmat suits, I mean, for the price, must be very effective, because I believe they were, what, $7?
They're
$7 worth of effectiveness, something like that.
I'm just now seeing the little decal there. It's
Cover
not a
you.
decal. Cover
Looks like
you.
the Monsters
And
Incorporated
it does,
logo.
with a diamond, though.
Okay.
Fancy.
It's very fancy. That's right.
Well,
so we're here. We're ready to rumble. And we're excited to be back. We're looking to take this kind of to the next level, just in terms of content and interaction. And I think this is going to be a great series and a great season for us with Bold Moves. So we encourage you, if you're watching and joining, share it with your friends. Let's bring people in on the experience and help people everywhere. It's great stuff.
For the most part, it's probably going to be a lot the same personalities, same kinds of topics, but we're in a new space.
Yeah.
And that
There's
may or may not
nothing we can
change.
do about our personalities or ourselves, but we're going to do better.
That's what it is.
It's mostly just shots fired at Kristen there.
Right, okay.
Yeah, nothing we can do
That's
about
why he's
Kristen.
got the suit on.
So we're going to lean in and have a good time. So we're talking about toxicity. This is like a toxic podcast dump. That's what this is.
Okay.
And we're talking about it in the sense that, man, if you're not careful, you can find yourself in toxic situations in life. And to be clear, we're not talking like where a nuclear holocaust took place. We're not over in Russia at Chernobyl. We're not talking about that kind of radioactivity. We're talking about relational fallout from just toxic relationships and just the fallout of what it looks like to be toxic in your relationship with God and your relationship with others.
Right.
And so if we're taking a few weeks and taking a series to focus in on this, what we're realizing is if the most important thing that God tells us to do is love God and love others, then we got to make sure that we're not in a place where we are toxic in those areas, because that matters. It's really important. And I think a lot of times that toxicity can creep into our lives unnoticed, and you can suddenly find yourself in an unhealthy place.
Sure.
And so this series, this dump, what are we calling this?
This is the toxic dump.
Toxic dump podcast. Yeah, that's what we're doing. This toxic dump should be really helpful in a lot of ways. The more you learn, the more you glow. Something like that. It's a greenish hue.
Yes. Well, you know something about that, right? Wasn't your backyard more or less like a toxic waste site?
Yeah. You have a good memory.
Yeah.
Yes. Where I grew up, they ended up finding it was one of the most toxic dump grounds in all of America. It was about a mile behind my house. And to be clear, that's where growing up, I would hike and go to the woods and explore with my friends. And we were all over that place.
Yeah.
So who knows what's wrong with me because of those things.
Well,
That's, again, why I'm wearing the hazmat suit.
Do you want a list of what's wrong?
Okay. I walked into that one. Yeah. I got you. So let's talk about this. I think opening up, it's like, okay, let's talk about our faith. Like as people, I think probably our faith is probably the most important place where we got to make sure that we're not toxic.
Sure.
But there comes this idea of like identifying ways that I'm toxic. So it's like the first question is, how do I even know that I'm toxic? How do I figure that out?
Well, I have a quiz.
Yeah. Oh, you have a quiz?
Would you guys like to take a toxic quiz?
Kristen,
I don't know if I really
wildly
do or not.
intrigued. Let's go for it. If it gets too
Listen.
much, I'm just gonna zip this thing up and crawl inside this
I
hood.
gave this quiz to my husband, and John Hogue is borderline toxic.
No.
Yes,
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So, if you're listening, you might need to go to the YouTube, or we can just keep an update for people to know whether or not. So, okay, ready?
That's beautiful.
This is the 10 finger.
Clarifying question: are we going to find out in real time, like Corey and I, if we're toxic?
Absolutely.
Oh, this is amazing.
Good.
Okay,
So-
let's go.
So this is both Corey and Tim. You put 10 fingers up.
Okay.
This is
10 fingers.
This is the if you put a finger down, like
Oh,
You're gonna be-
it's
Oh
like
no!
that.
Okay.
So we don't want. Okay, but we gotta be
So-
honest.
So do I
So
want a lot of
everyone's-
fingers up when I'm done, or no?
So if you have less than 5 still up, you're toxic. If you put down more than 5, you're toxic.
Oh no.
Okay.
Okay.
This is
So-
in real time. It's a big
all right.
reveal.
Okay,
How
here we
toxic are we?
Ready?
Okay.
So 10 fingers.
'Kay.
Everyone, they're not toxic currently.
Okay, that's right. We're
so
perfect.
Put a finger down if you have stalked someone's social media.
Wait a minute.
Like a one-time search, like, hey, I
Hey.
wonder what's going on there.
No. We can't.
All right.
We can't. Go, Corey went
done
down
it.
one.
Yeah,
and
look at
Tim went
people's
down.
social media.
Okay, so people are both
I got
at 9.
married in the social media era. I had to stalk my wife's social media. I mean, come on. What kind of person? That's like your due diligence on getting married in 2020 is.
You had to stalk her. That's perfect.
Hey, you're still clean right now. You guys are at 9.
Okay, we're still nines.
Put a finger down if you've yelled at someone before.
If I've yelled at
Yell
someone
at someone
this week,
Yes.
probably this morning. Like, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. What are you talking about?
I'm super toxic.
Okay, so they both are down at 8.
Oh no!
All right. Put a finger down if you lie to others to get what you want.
If I lie to others, no,
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay,
I'm gonna at least
so-
have one.
Not this time.
All right, so we're only
That's
2
good.
fingers down and both people are at 8. Put a finger down if your name starts with a J, A, M, or C.
Well, what kind of a nonsense question is that? You made this up.
I didn't
I have to put a finger down because my name starts with C.
Wait, that's a real question. J-A-M. So Corey loses. I'm up. Yeah.
Corey's at 7.
Great.
Tim's at 8.
What is it with that? Like, if you the Jenny, the J,
Listen.
Jenny, she's toxic. How does that even play?
I'm not gonna lie. Although I married a J name, I've
why
dated
John
other
did bad.
J's that were pretty toxic.
J-A-M or C.
Listen, the people that know will know.
Okay, I trust. All right, I'm still at 8,
Sorry,
so I'm
Corey.
happy.
I'm like, my brain is like shuffling through people in the office. So yeah,
It's getting
you said
personal.
A, right? Anthony. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm with you.
Michelle,
Jamie.
Jamie. That's amazing. Micah, there's a lot of
Micah,
Colin,
We have a
Michelle.
highly
Yeah,
toxic.
okay.
Colin, we have a highly toxic.
We do.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh dear. Okay, I'm at
great.
7.
All right. Okay.
Ashley,
Keeps going. Put a finger down if you think you're better than everyone else. Oh, that's a
literally
sign. Nope.
growing up, we have told our boys, hey, never forget, do the right thing. You're a fisher. You're better than everybody.
Oh,
Tim's going down.
actually,
Okay. Wow. I
mean,
really thought that you wouldn't be
here's
there.
here's the
We always
caveat.
say
And
that
this,
jokingly, but it's toxic. It's
here's the
toxic.
caveat, and this is why I'm not putting a finger down. Is because it said you think you're better than everyone else. I just think I'm better than most other people.
Okay,
Can I
then
put
keep
my
it.
finger back up? I
Yeah,
feel
okay.
the same way.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. Good,
Don't
good,
worry, we'll get you. All right, so Tim's at 8. Corey, you're at 7 still?
Yeah, it's because he's a C name. Okay.
Because he's a C. All right, put a finger down if you talk but don't listen.
Oh. No.
I'm a good listener.
Some people
I'm
need
a
to hear
listener.
that. Some
Yeah.
people talk
Yeah.
a lot.
Yep. That's a problem in relationships. That's a good
sure.
one.
Yeah.
That's a way better question than the JMAC name. Yeah.
I would agree.
We're good. Put a finger down if you say you're 5 minutes away but you still haven't left your house.
Oh, that's not me. I'm
No, I
Always
say I'm 5
honest.
minutes late all the
Yeah.
time anyway because I'm always 5 minutes late.
Okay.
So yeah, that's good.
All right, so we're still
Okay,
at
good.
7 and 8.
So it's
if
just
you're
toxic that I
listening.
say I'm not 5 minutes late or that I am actually 5 minutes late. It
No,
doesn't
no,
matter
no.
that
If
I
you
am.
say that you're
That's perfect.
5 minutes away,
Okay. No.
but you haven't left.
No, I don't do that.
yeah.
Okay. Put a finger down if you purposely leave people on red. So for our older people, like this is you ignore text
Sometimes I do
messages.
that.
You
So,
Tim's
but
down
what
to
that
7.
means is that like You read the message and it like notifies the person, and you just leave it.
You
sit.
just swipe
purposely
it, and you can
leave it
mark it
there.
unread.
I don't look at messages on purpose because I can't get to them all. But I don't ever do that. I don't like.
No, this is
just leave
like
people hanging.
Yeah, you're ghosting them. You're leaving them alone.
Can we just
On
agree?
purpose.
The best thing in the world is like the double tap thumbs up, so you can just end a conversation without having to say anything.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
And that's why the thumbs up is now toxic.
That was the next one. Do you use thumbs up?
Just kidding.
Okay.
Corey walked right into
I'm
that
still
one.
7. I'm still 7.
Put a finger down if you double tap the thumbs up. Just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, so we're tied now at 7. So,
Okay.
oh man, 2 more, and you guys are on the line.
We're on the line.
All right.
It's not good.
Put a finger down if you pretend to be friends with someone.
If you pretend to be
Oh.
friends with someone, wait a second.
No.
I have hundreds of people who come up and talk to me every
Oh,
week.
no.
Does that count? Like I'm just friendly?
No, that
No,
doesn't count.
pretending to be friends. Like really
Like you're
Hang out.
above and beyond just like acquaintances. That
Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Okay, no.
Not me.
I'm friendly.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, being
I don't-
friendly is different
Okay,
than
no, then I'm
pretending
good.
to be a
People,
friend.
for the most part, know that I don't like them. So I think that's that's sort of how
I would just
roll.
like to give this disclaimer. When I gave this test to John, he didn't argue anything. He just did the fingers. So there was no...
Well, he's also borderline toxic, so
Yeah.
who knows really
So,
what was going on there.
He's like, I don't need to explain. Anyway, okay. This is the 10th question. So here you go.
Oh, I think we made it. Success.
So we're at 7 and 7.
Yep.
Don't worry, I have bonus.
Oh,
Put a finger down if you focus on the negative or complain a lot.
No. I'm a positivity person.
I focus on it. If I'm going to be on, I'll
Is he
put
a
like a half a
pessimist?
finger down. I'll put a finger down.
I'll put a half a finger down. Can you do that? Let's see it.
I feel like I'm pretty good on the line. Like I'm not a pessimist actually. I see negative things a lot, but that doesn't mean that I'm a glass
I'm all
half
about
empty.
positivity.
I actually think things are going to work out for the most part.
That's good.
I usually do.
That's
great.
good.
But I'll put a finger down just because.
My strength finder was positivity was like number 1. So
Okay.
I know that's not my thing.
So you're like a dog. Just
A dog. What was your score on the toxic quiz, Kristen? That was a
I didn't take
that was a
it.
toxic thing. Oh, no
Okay.
way. No way.
notice my name, my first letter
Your
was
name?
not in there.
If your name starts with a K, -5.
Okay, so here's your bonus material.
Okay.
So far, both of you have passed. You are
Yes.
not
We're
toxic.
not toxic. That's
That's
good to know.
The other honorable mentions were if you have to be right or if you
Oh.
think you're not toxic.
if you think you're not toxic. Because you're in a total state of denial.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
If you have to be
I
right,
got
that
you.
one like years ago, I would have definitely been there. I
Yeah,
do not.
I think
care.
it's a phase of
Yeah.
life. To be clear, the question about do you argue or do you not listen? What was the question? You
If
argue
you
to
talk but don't listen,
talk but don't listen. That's a really toxic trait in relationships. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Because you're not even trying to understand at that point. You just have
Yeah.
to be right. That's brutal.
yeah.
Overall, I enjoyed that quiz. I enjoyed that experience. I don't know how accurate it is, but it was helpful for this conversation.
I think everybody. I assume people who are listening took the quiz along with us.
Yep.
And
they
I
would
would
know how
love
toxic they are.
to know
Yeah.
your answers.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Love to know
find
who
out.
is willing to admit, "Yep, I'm toxic." Let us know. Let us know.
Well,
we'll be
to
looking-
be candid, that quiz came from the most toxic app, TikTok.
Yes, one
my
can
word.
agree
Of course
that
it
is
did.
the most toxic app.
We're going to get all kinds of comments from people with names starting with J, M, A, or C because they're the only
Yeah.
ones that lose the extra point that puts them across
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
toxicity
that's
line.
a bridge too far.
Oh gosh. Okay, so that's the quiz that we get from TikTok that tells us if we're toxic.
Well,
that's how that works.
I mean, yeah, the internet.
What do we see? Let's shift gears and get a little bit more serious. If you're looking at like the Bible, scripture, maybe people in the Bible, what do we see as traits that are toxic in that world? I mean, that would be the shift then, right? If we identify toxicity in our
Yeah.
own lives, well, what are the real ones? Like, what are the
Yeah.
things that we dive into and go, okay, if
So-
I have this issue, I'm struggling.
To be clear, I'm not a biblical scholar, so I'm going to
Okay.
try to answer that question. What was
Let's
considered
go.
toxic in the Bible?
Let's go.
But Grok is apparently a
Grok?
That's
Or Gronk?
No, you got to get with this. Grok is the new AI. Kristen,
Grok?
Yeah,
ChatGPT
it's,
is dead.
yeah.
Grok is
Twitter
here.
X. That's the AI assistant for.
Oh.
Now you know. I have not used it. My kids did. They
And
immediately downloaded it.
These are actually really good answers.
Oh, let's hear what Grok had to say.
So here's the thing about as a little bit of a caveat to this conversation.
Okay.
And this is like a disclaimer that they mentioned, and I totally agree with this. Context matters. The Bible spans thousands of years, multiple genres,
Yep.
multiple generations, and cultural settings. What seems toxic today may have been normative in its original context, or maybe misinterpreted without historical.
Okay, that's
Yes.
fair.
Yep.
So I think that's important to talk about and think about as we think about some of these things. But things, okay, so for example, vengeance and harsh judgment, because literally in Deuteronomy, it says, God says, vengeance is mine,
Right.
which seems a little aggressive.
Yeah.
The whole concept of the wrath of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, what can you tell us about like what that means exactly? Because that to me is one of those things, like as I'm thinking about people who are part of Crossroads who maybe are brand new Christians and they hear things like the wrath of God. How does that make any sense?
Yeah.
Like how does that work?
I think the quickest answer to that is just the idea of wrath accompanies, in my mind, the justice of God, because God is just.
Yeah.
And so when he sees something that is not right or righteous, the wrath of God is part of the judgment that comes from seeking justice and balancing those things. Because the wrath of God was always associated with evil and the pain and the suffering that came out of that. And so, everybody kind of overreacts, I think, to the wrath of God. The truth is, if you're following God and being obedient, you've got nothing to worry about. Like he's on your side.
I mean, things happen, like the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
it's a real thing.
Oh,
It
yeah.
happened. The flood. The flood happened on this earth and took out everybody except for those who were on the
To be
ark.
clear, the history of the world ends right there. God says, I tried this experiment with mankind, and I'm sorry I did it. Like, really, that's how it says it in Genesis. This is fun to talk about, by the way. This is just off the spur of the moment. He was sorry he made mankind. Like, that was a moment in God's time frame where he was sorry he made man. And then there's a verse that just says, but Noah. Like, there it is. But Noah found favor with God, and he's like, all right, I'm starting over with Noah. Like, if Noah hadn't been doing right, we'd all be done.
You should do a message on that sometime and just call it, how big is your butt?
Thank you. Is that toxic though? I don't want to be toxic. It sounds borderline toxic. It could be, but that's a big butt.
That's a big butt.
That's a big butt.
That's a really big butt. It sure is. Man.
I would listen to it.
Okay, so things like this is a hot topic. This will be a thing that will strike a chord with some people. Patriarchal structures.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That is a hot button.
It's gender plays a role in the Bible. There's no escaping that.
Yep.
And it puts men in charge of a lot of things.
Yeah.
And females as more of a supporting cast for some of that. And in context, in those historical times, it was just different. And also, like, I think it's important for us, like, again, like I'm no scholar, so you can eat me alive if you don't agree with this.
Let's get ready. Let's
but
jump
honestly,
all over
like, keeping in mind the heart behind God. God is a God of structure.
Yeah.
With intention. Things were done with intention. And so things like this, I think, are really important to kind of think about things like that.
Yeah. The context does matter.
It does.
It's interesting. Do you have more on your list? What's going on there?
Oh yeah, we got a long list, but yeah, keep talking.
I'm intrigued by that. There are different like societal norms that you would look at in the Bible that kind of set up some toxic structures as we would see them in our culture today when viewed through the lens looking back. I'm curious, how did that list play out, like in terms of toxicity being tied to character or more personalized things? How did that search pull in that direction, or was there anything there?
So probably less so in terms of like personal character and more so characteristics of God. Yeah. And just like overall thematic things. So like, one of them that was listed here was intolerance of other beliefs.
Yeah.
Like, you go back to Deuteronomy, there were those who were stoned to death for that was what was suggested, was stone them to death if they try to take you down a path other than what God has set out for you.
Right.
Whoa! In a world today where like
Completely
tolerance
different.
is such a key word for so many people, things like endorsement of violence or punishment. We kind of already talked about that a little bit. Fear-based obedience is one that it lists that I'm thinking
Really?
like that makes some sense. It's I think it's important to kind of recognize too, like it's mentioning here like the fear of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Which a lot of times is, if we're going to put real context on that, is more of like having an understanding and an awe of wonder of who God is. It's not necessarily like
He is God and we are not.
You should be terrified of Him.
Yeah.
That's not really the point. But God is all powerful. He can do whatever He wants to do. But anyway, so then there's things like slavery that are in the Bible, and obviously that's it's just
it opens up all kinds of things where you're just going, oh, how do we handle that? And that could be viewed as really toxic.
But again, it's that pretty much completes the list. It's just one of those things where it's like as you dive into what the Bible says, I think it's always important to remember that caveat at the top of this is a different culture. These are written in historic times. Some of it's meant to be more artistic in nature and how it's written, more poetic. And so I think it's important to, I heard this recently, it's important to recognize that the Bible is the literal word of God, but that doesn't mean you ought to take every word literally.
There are some, yes, that would be correct. There are books of poetry. There are books that are written to be allegorical, and they're telling a story.
Sure.
And every literal thing shouldn't be taken literally. You're exactly right.
If you take everything literally, it says you are the salt of the earth.
Yes, so you're not actually
I am not actually sodium chloride or whatever. So,
Correct.
Yes, that's
so.
true.
What's interesting about that, and this is a great place to start. This is interesting. This is an interesting conversation in the sense that you take everything that the Bible says within its context. That's part of how you interpret the Bible and bring that to life. But you don't diminish what the Bible says just because of those things. You take it all into consideration, like the truth of God's word. And I think what's interesting to me is that our culture kind of sways the other direction. We look at the Bible historically through the context of the lens that we live in today, and we go, well, we're far more advanced. We're technologically advanced. We're smarter now, so those things don't apply to us. And that's the other end of the pendulum swing. And it's like, no. Hold on just a second, because if you want to be toxic, just start dismissing the things that you don't really particularly agree with or like.
Oh man.
And that's going to take you down a whole other road.
Right.
And so I think it comes down to that significance of what we talk about at Crossroads a lot, which is the reality that Jesus came. It says in John 1 that He came full of grace and full of truth. And so there's this recognition that, man, God's truth for our life, it has not changed. And so there is this foundation that we have to build on, God's directive for our life. And it's on us to just trust Him that when He gives us a directive, it's not always the easy path. It's not the most comfortable thing, but it's for our benefit. And if you trust that, well, He came full of grace and full of truth. So it's not just truth, like do this or else, and it's hellfire and brimstone and judgy. Well, no, it's also full of grace. And so that means we address every topic that we run into with love. And so I think you can become real toxic real fast when you get those things out of balance either side of the spectrum. Because if it's all grace, it's like, oh, anything goes. And that's a toxic faith, because then it ends up not really being real, if we're just being honest. And if it's all truth, well, man, you just become so legalistic and judgmental that's just as damaging. So it leads to an interesting place. I've always been influenced by a book that came out, 15, 16 years ago now. It was called Unchristian, and it was just based on a lot of research that a big group did just with people in general in our society, just kind of getting their idea of Christianity and what's good about it and what's bad about it. And when it comes to this idea of toxic faith and just falling into that trap of being toxic, it would be interesting, Kristen, to have a quiz of like, how do I know I'm a toxic Christian?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Right? Like identify, are these things true with me? Because it's really important to note and highlight as we're talking about this concept of toxicity and toxic faith. On the whole, and granted, this is like a 15 or 16-year-old study, but I don't think much of this has changed in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
Because the ultimate response that these guys got was that overwhelmingly people who were just but people who were asked questions and surveyed on the street, like your man on the street, like, what do you think about Christianity? They found the overwhelming response was people who don't know Jesus, who are outsiders, they like Jesus.
Yeah.
They don't have anything wrong with Jesus. They
Sure.
all respect Jesus. They think the teachings of Jesus are great. They don't really have any beef with Jesus. Like, Jesus is cool,
It's
right?
us.
It's the Christians.
Yeah.
Like, they
Oh,
can't
man.
stand
Yeah.
Christians. And it's like, hold on a second. Like, if they love Jesus, but they can't stand Christians,
Yeah.
what is going on there?
What are we messing
yeah.
up?
There is
Yeah.
toxicity that has to be addressed. Like, whoa, what is going on? And I've got a list. There was like 6 things that were like the common denominator that they discovered that really people had a problem with Christians, like not with Jesus,
Yeah.
with Christians. And so, raise your hand if you have that.
Oh no.
The biggest one, which I think is probably obvious when you think about it, but the biggest problem that they had out of the gate was that there was just hypocrisy. They just
Yeah.
saw
Okay.
Yeah.
Christians were hypocritical. And that's the whole thing of, you say that you believe one thing and then you live out and do another.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that. For a long time, we've all known. It's that old, I think, Brennan Manley quote of the greatest detriment to faith and Christianity is Christians who acknowledge Jesus with their lips but deny him with their lifestyles.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be a killer. That is going to be toxic. And so we just have to be honest about that. So it's like, going back to your point, Corey, about the biblical stuff. When I start rationalizing and justifying in my life, oh, yeah, the Bible tells me to do that. I know that. Well, is that really real? Does that apply to our
Yeah.
culture
Sure,
today?
yeah.
Like, suddenly, the form of Christianity that I'm living out, is it even
Right.
Christianity at this point? Like, whether
Right.
you're on one end of the pendulum or the other, like legalistic and all truth or all grace, like
Yeah.
either way, it can lead somewhere where you didn't really want to go. So hypocrisy is a thing.
The Bible's a big book. Like there's
Yes, it
a
is.
lot of detail in a book. I mean, if you sit down to read it cover to cover, it's going to take days to get that
Days.
done
A year.
without stopping. Right. So
A long
Some
time.
people don't even finish that.
It's true.
So like there's a lot that's said. I mean,
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we have to take a big step back and recognize that there are themes in the Bible that
Correct.
consistently present themselves.
Yep.
And stop worrying about like the little detail that's mentioned one time.
Yes.
And being legalistic about like those things matter. Those things reflect the heart of God. They don't
Correct.
end up in there otherwise. But we just talked about like where it was commanded that we stone people to death.
Yes.
I don't. That's a different context, a different culture.
Yes.
It doesn't make sense for us now. So like,
Right.
yeah, I think that's really crucial, and especially like, don't try to hold somebody else to a standard you can't hold yourself to. I mean, that's again, we're going back to that grace and truth. Like,
Yes.
if you give yourself all grace and give them all truth and no grace, then that's sort of that hypocrisy, right? That
Yeah.
we're talking
So
about.
speaking to that specific sentiment, like in the Old Testament, it's like, if you did something wrong, take him outside and stone him to death.
Yeah.
Like that's real.
Yes.
Notice in the life of Jesus, he's walking on planet Earth, still living under the old law. The Pharisees have gathered around. They found this prostitute who's caught in the act. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
they bring her out. The community circles around her, and it's like, hey, we're going to stone her. And that's the moment where Jesus turns everything upside down and says, "He who is without sin, throw the first stone." It's
Right.
like, oh, something is changing here. I mean, that's the combination of grace and truth, giving her a chance to make that right. A lot of times we stop there, right? Like, oh,
Sure.
Jesus was just full of grace. Well, he also said, yeah, go and sin no more. Like, it's go change.
Yeah.
That's right.
Go change your life.
Yeah.
And that's the amazing gift that we have in Jesus. So
Yeah.
just these are good conversations. This is fun.
Yeah.
Little rabbit trails that are all good. Okay, I have a list of 6 things. That was one. Hypocritical. This one is interesting to me. They said Christians are too focused on getting converts, which is interesting, where they feel like they're just a number, to be one.
Yeah.
Maybe that could come from people like, let's throw the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons under the bus, like knocking on your door.
Absolutely.
Like, I think with the Jehovah's Witnesses specifically, they have a quota to meet because they got to make that top 140,000, or they're not going to make it into heaven.
Yeah,
top 144,000. That's it.
Yeah.
And then they're out. So they got to be knocking on doors, hitting their quotas, or they're in trouble.
I don't know anything about that. So let's,
But that's interesting, right? And we can fall into that trap at Crossroads where we're focused on connecting as many people to Jesus as we can. I mean, that's our mission. As soon as it becomes about numbers or just like, hey, we're reaching a goal on the wall, like, that's where it gets out of balance. You just have to have your priorities in the right spot, and motives matter. This one's interesting. I mean, you talk about diving in, going full toxic. You guys ready for it?
Yep.
People who are outside the Christian world looked at Christians and just said, "Oh, they're just anti-homosexual. Like they hate homosexuals." And so there's this viewpoint that, man, these people claim to love Jesus, but then they hate people in a specific field, like the homosexual crowd. They just hate them for no other reason that they're gay. And it's like, ooh, that one hurts because, man, sin is sin. But the reality is, they are correct in some ways. We don't show the same level of emotionality or what would be the right word, tenacity of chasing after other sins. Like, we tend to tee off on that one.
Lead with love, right? Always lead with love.
Yeah, you have to lead with love. And my thing is, I have friends. Who are gay. I have friends who struggle with that, and you have to be willing to go on that journey with them. If you just start off by saying, "Hey, God hates the gays," like, wait a second, how is that helping lead them to Jesus? Like, let's meet them where they're at.
And if that's what you're saying, actually, that's not even true. What are we talking about?
It's just so messy, and I think it's easier to come at that from one or the other, grace or truth, right? Like, hey, it's okay, don't worry about it. Well, no, that's not true. Coming out with truth, just all truth, and saying God hates homosexuality. Okay, do we just need to confront that with a hateful spirit, or are we trying to win them over? There's a balance there. That's why grace and truth is the winner. But it's messy. Like, it is messy. And so specifically in that category, when it's something that's obvious, when you can't really hide from that, it's just one of those sins that it's like, that's a hard one to just hide.
Sure.
But the reality is, if you just want to go there, let's just go full toxic. Any type of sexual sin, God looks on it the same way. And so I think the problem there is that, they see Christianity as a whole, like teeing off on homosexuality. Well, do we have that same level of passion for the boyfriend and the girlfriend that are living together? Like, because in God's eyes, it's that would still be sex outside of marriage. And so we just have to make sure that... we're being honest.
Sure.
We're being honest, not justifying the things that we think are okay and that aren't. So it's interesting. So anyway, no one anticipated going down that road today in the podcast.
Nope. Not me. Let's move on.
This one's a much more easier one. The thing I didn't like about Christians, so this is hilarious, is the fourth one is they think that people in Christianity are too sheltered. So all I can think of is like people in the 90s who were homeschooled. It's kind of a different era. They were just like very, very isolated and very sheltered. To be clear, homeschooling today is a completely different thing.
Yes.
Homeschooling is pretty awesome today. There's a lot of great people. So no, not throwing hate or shade on any of the homeschool people.
It probably always was. I mean, and we just had really weird views.
Maybe I just had a different view of that growing up in the 90s. It just seemed different.
But they were a little odd.
Kristen gets it. They just kind of had a look about them. They were just kind of always lost a little bit.
A look about them. Right?
So people didn't like that Christians were too sheltered. Too unaware.
Yeah. Just kind of disengaged, not really culturally
idealistic,
aware.
Probably. Yeah.
So that's just a thing. It's something interesting. One that hits harder, I think, today in the culture we live in is 15 years ago, they said Christians were too political, which is wild. And I think that's a trap that the church in whole has fallen into in the last decade. Because man, you start blurring Christianity with politics, and suddenly politics becomes your religion, and you've got to be very careful about blurring those two lines.
That's a weird one, because it's I 100% believe that the Bible would instruct us that God would want us to be involved in what's happening in our communities and our state and in our country, and definitely be involved in that. But when it becomes the thing for you,
right,
and it becomes really replaces Christianity, we're following Jesus, then we have a problem.
Yes.
Some people have CNN or Fox News on their TV at all times, but
that's very common. Yes.
Correct. But they haven't listened to the Bible or like read the Bible at all.
Yes. And you can start naming the names of the talking heads on TV, and those become their religious leaders, because like, we're Christian, we vote this way, we talk this way, and that just blurs the line. It's just, you can become toxic really fast if your religious views and your political views become too intertwined, because those are two very separate things.
Can I tell?
And they impact each other, but they're separate things.
Can I tell a funny story actually about that right now?
Let's go.
This is
the more toxic, the better.
You can cut this out. I was actually last night, so this kind of like dates this episode. We share a streaming service with family members. I won't specify who. Just
keep them anonymous.
So figure it out, like who. But anyway, so I was watching Bachelor in Paradise, and we hit this. Apparently, we hit the screen limit. You know, of like how many, and it switched me to Fox News, and I was like, which one is worse right now? So anyway, that's just.
Did you get caught up on the news then? You know what's going on?
No, I was like, I want to go back. I want to go back to Paradise.
In our house, if something's going on in the news, like, I'm the one who knows that, because I'll keep track.
Right.
I usually watch everything. Like, I'll watch some Fox, I'll watch some CNN. I just try to get the balance. Like, what's going on all sides of the equation. But if something big's happening, I'll purposefully wait a day, and then I'll be like, hey, Dana, did you know that, we bombed Iran? Had no idea. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. So anyway, that's hilarious. Okay. Now you know. The last one is very interesting to me on this list. It's too political, and the final one is just they see Christians as judgmental, and that becomes the toxic trait. Like, I've got all the answers. I know how to live. I see how you're living, and you're not right. Like, you're not good enough. And so it's very interesting to me. When we take that all into consideration of just being mindful of our own toxicity, like to the point of, the quiz we took earlier, like, okay, that's dumb. Does your name start with J, M, A, or C? Like, in Christianity, I don't think there's a name that starts with a letter that's going to mess with you. Like, otherwise, I mean, let's talk seriously. Jesus, he would have been on his way to toxic just because his first letter is J. I mean, come on now.
It disqualifies the whole quiz. Yes.
But when it comes to our toxic faith, we have to be really mindful of any of those traps that we can fall into. And I think it's probably good for us to analyze, like, hey, have I allowed my politics to be a too big part of my life? And that's like messing with my ability to be a witness. Because if you, I mean, let's just go there. If you care more about a political party than you care about your neighbor coming to Jesus, it's out of balance.
Right.
It's out of balance. And so you just have to be honest about it, because a lot of us fall into that trap from time to time, especially in the political seasons and the elections or whatever.
Oh yeah.
How you treat other people who have different viewpoints than you, making sure that your actions match up with your words. The toxicity that we allow to be in our lives, it can put people off and push people away. And we have to be mindful of that, because, man, at the end of the day, that hurts when people say as a whole, we really like Jesus, we just don't like you.
Yeah, we can't have that. We can't have that.
That's a problem. And Paul, I don't want to get too preachy because this is our podcast, but I'll say this. There's a couple verses here that I think are amazing. When it talks about needing like a resume or a letter of recommendation, I love this. Paul says in 2 Corinthians 3, he says, the only letter of recommendation that we need is you yourselves. He's talking to the church about like getting a recommendation for how they've done leading the church and seeing the fruit in their lives. And he's saying, we don't need a letter of recommendation. We just need to see it in you. He says, your lives are a letter written in our hearts. Everyone can read it and recognize our good work among you. I just think that's amazing.
good.
Like the letter of recommendation, the way that we show the world that Jesus is in us and living us and is alive and is who he says he is by how we live our lives. It's us. We live that out. And the other thing that he says in Colossians 4, Paul says, live wisely among those who are not believers and make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversations be gracious and attractive so you will have the right response for everyone. I just think that's so well said. I mean, obviously, it's in the Bible. Paul wrote that, so it's a good word. But it's just a reminder that in this culture where we find ourselves pretty easily able to fall into the trap where we can allow toxicity to enter our lives, that's a good reminder. Like, it's us. They're watching us, and that's how they're going to see Jesus.
If we're talking about our faith, the ultimate goal of our faith, and we believe this at Crossroads, there's no question about that, is that Jesus commands us to go and make disciples.
Yeah.
That means bringing other people into what we're doing.
Correct.
And if we're doing things that are keeping that from happening, then we are 100% missing the mark.
Yes.
So don't let your rules and all that. Rules matter, and those are important things, but don't let that get in the way of winning people to Jesus, because that's the goal.
Yes. Yeah. That's the most important thing. And I think in wrapping up this idea and this concept today, it's just this idea that, man, if I am the billboard that people see that represents and reflects Jesus, I have to make sure that I'm not allowing anything toxic to be the thing that identifies me and my faith. Yep. And I think it ultimately does tie back to just focusing on that balance of living out the example of Jesus. He came full of grace and full of truth. It's just not 50% of the other. It's all of both of those things. And so it's holding the line. This is what I believe to be true. This is what the Bible teaches us. This is how I'm going to live my life, and I'm also equally going to be gracious with everyone around me and do everything I can to help them to see that this is God's plan for them, and this is the life that he has for them to experience. And so I think that if we can walk that line, grace and truth, and recognize it's messy, like it's certainly a lot easier to be one or the other, but we're going to be able to live that out and keep that toxicity at bay, keep on the spiritual hazmat suit, if you will.
You're still wearing that. I forgot.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, now that I've been in it for a while, it's kind of comfortable. I might start wearing these around. It's just kind of nice.
Maybe like a Ghostbuster type backpack.
Why not?
I love the idea. Yeah.
I think it could play. The hazmat suit plays. Yeah. That's hilarious. Hey, this would be episode 1 of the Toxic Podcast Dump. I think we've come to an end. I think we did it, you guys.
So now the podcast is a dump. Okay.
Yeah, the whole thing.
It's not just a toxic dump.
The whole thing is a toxic dump. Right. Okay. That's what it is. I love it. And you know what? In this new season of Bold Moves, I'm just going to keep going with the same closing line. When it comes time to make your move. See, I still
do you even know it? How do you?
I don't even know. It's been so long. I just know you want to be bold. You got to make bold moves. So be bold. Make bold moves. Don't be toxic.
Yes.
Wear a hazmat suit. What am I saying? Let's get out of here.